There's a movie from 2020 called Unknown Origins on Netflix.
Okay.
A very chiseled but somber detective must find a serial killer who leaves clues that only his mentor's nerdy comics-loving son can decipher.
I like that. Let's put that on there to vote for.
All right.
And let's see.
Turns out Two Guns is on Netflix, and oddly, in Netflix's top 10. So I guess people are watching Two Guns now. Let's put Two Guns in there.
Well, Two Guns would be a good one to put on the list.
That's a perennial all-star loser.
Yeah,
played many around, never quite won.
You know, we could always revisit Pennyworth on HBO Max.
Hey, we've got a final for it.
And let's see. There's the Harley Quinn Valentine's Day special. Got a lot of buzz.
Oh yeah.
We never did watch DMZ on HBO Max. You know, the universally beloved Velma animated series is on HBO Max.
I feel like that'd be a hilarious put just to see if what would I haven't watched a second of it. And there's a part of me that wants to just be like, and it's been renewed for a season 2 despite everyone on the planet saying this thing's garbage.
Edge of Tomorrow. Did we ever review that?
Oh yeah.
Okay, couldn't remember if we did or not. That's the place where we stand now. And there's tons of animated DC stuff out there, way too much to limit to 1 month if we ever need stuff to vote on.
Stop, you stupid so-and-so.
Super Pets, it's on HBO Max. And The Man from U.N.C.L.E., that's one that might be worth voting on. Do you think people would consider that too much of a reach?
Not if you don't. Listen, you're the one that brought it up. I'm a call on you.
Put Man from U.N.C.L.E. on there. It's a good movie, and lots of discussion about Armie Hammer could be had.
What does and doesn't count as crazy? All right, so I got Unknown Origins. It's on Netflix. Two Guns. We're gonna put. I just want to make sure I tell people where the heck this crap's at. Harley Quinn Valentine's Day special. That's HBO. Velma and Uncle, all HBO. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just looking. I was just scrolling through HBO, getting ideas.
No kidding.
How did you know? How did you guess?
I'm a bit of a detective. Something of a detective myself.
You're a regular Hercule Poirot.
All right.
Yeah, I could make something happen with Man from U.N.C.L.E. Something was around that long and that long ago is bound to have something to tie into.
All right, cool. That's all set to go there. All right, Danger Zone. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Hero Movie Podcast, your greatest source for superhero movie discussion in the multiverse. I'm your host, Adam Portress, and joining me today, he's not small, you're small, Bruce Leslie.
I'm a prickly pear and cowabunga dude.
Welcome back, everybody. This week, we are headed out to the theater to check out Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantamania. I said it correctly this time.
And sweet Shanzi, he had a busy weekend, so he couldn't make it. But his health is good. Don't worry.
Yeah, he has not been shrunk down and brought over into
the
quantum zone, doing heavens knows what.
He hasn't been snapped out of existence.
All of those Shanzis on different timelines. You never know. You never know. But yeah, man, we're going to be talking about Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania this week. another Marvel movie back out, and in February, no less. So I think February has kind of become that time ever since Deadpool that February is not quite dead just yet.
Which came first, Deadpool or Kingsman? They were both February releases. It made me start getting excited for February.
I am not sure, but it feels like Deadpool was really the one that kind of led the way with that, and the fact that they also too leaned in very much into the Valentine's-ness of it all, because that's when that one came out, and they leaned into like, hey, take a date out. It's a very romantic movie, this Deadpool and everything.
And the Ghost Rider sequel was a Valentine's Day movie.
Yeah, little Neville, Dean, and Taylor.
Good love story.
If there's anything that those guys do very well, it's telling heartfelt love stories.
While being dragged behind a car on a skateboard.
Yeah, well, no, rollerblades, but you're close.
Rollerblades, yeah, that's it.
They're just be like, okay, I'm going to hold it on the back of this Jeep Grand Cherokee. It's going to go 88 miles per hour and then just launch me off, and I've got this red camera I'm holding on to, and we're just going to see what happens. These guys are insane. But before we get into the show and everything, we do want to say a big thank you to the people that support us over at patreon.com/HMP. Those awesome people get pre-show, post-show, Dinger Zone, and of course, they get to vote on the stuff that we watch every month. And this month, guess what? No different. We have a wild, crazy variety of things for you guys to choose from. If you're a supporter on Patreon, these are the movies and /TV shows sort of dealies. I don't know what we're going to call some of them, but there's things that you can stream easily, and here are your votes. It breaks down this Unknown Origins is a movie on Netflix about a guy who needs to solve a crime, but only his nerdy son who knows about comic books and crap is able to help him solve the case.
That's exactly how it's described, as comic books and crap.
Yeah, comic books and crap. It's pretty good. We got Two Guns, something that's been on this Patreon vote since almost since we started doing them and stuff, but that's still available on Netflix right now. So you got that as a vote. We also have the Harley Quinn Valentine's Day special. Our love is not over for you yet. Maybe you can vote on that one. But if you may or may not have love for this next one, and I don't know who would vote for this one. But Velma on HBO. It's a Scooby-Doo property. It's out there. I haven't seen it. I haven't seen a bit of it. Maybe, listen, I'm always open to try any new program.
If the internet can be believed, it's not very good.
And when has the internet ever lied to us, Bruce? Has it
I don't
ever?
know. How could the internet possibly get upset about anything depicted in a television show?
I don't. It just doesn't seem
why
like
would
it's
the internet
possible.
Care if they change a bunch of things from a beloved property that's been around for 60 years? The internet doesn't care about those things.
Nah, they'll usually just water off a duck's back. You know what I'm saying?
It's like, we love progress.
And we also have The Man from U.N.C.L.E., also available on HBO, starring one former Superman and one current crazy person. So we'll.
I was going to say, best action movie starring a cannibal that you're likely to see this year.
And a Tomb Raider. You got one of them in there. So, it's a good flick as well. That's available on HBO.
I kind of forgot there was a Tomb Raider in there. I forgot about her.
One of her early kind of roles.
Is that Vikander? Is that her last name?
Yeah, Alicia Vikander. And then the other gal that's in there's some good looking ladies in that flick. So I wouldn't mind if people voted on that. That'll be up patreon.com/HMP. We want to thank everybody for their support of this program and getting themselves a little bit of something else in return there. And if you can't do that, at least drop us a 5-star review on iTunes, a.k.a. a humdinger.
Humdinger.
And Spotify's got them reviews as well. I think 35 plus people have already dropped a little 5-star on Spotify. So if you do that, we appreciate it.
Here's an idea. On Apple Podcasts, it's a humdinger. A 5-star on Spotify is a spun springer. I don't know. It's got to be something, right?
Well, we'll put that into the lab. We're going to workshop that. I don't want to say there's no bad ideas, but sometimes there's some. Anyways, here's the trailer for Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantamania. Oops, that's the wrong one. Nope, that's right.
I used to ask myself a lot of questions. Scott, you're at ex-con. How are you an Avenger? That doesn't make sense. But everywhere I go, people tell me the same thing.
Thank you, Spider-Man.
People still need help, Dad.
That's why we made this.
It's like a satellite for deep space, but quanta.
Wait a minute. You're sending a signal down to the quantum realm. Turn it off. Now!
you so afraid of?
There's something I never told you.
This place. It isn't what you think. I can get you home. And give you more time. If you help me. So, what's it gonna be? Ant-Man.
Alrighty, that was the trailer for Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantamania. You know what time it is.
It's time for Bruce's Comic Book Connection.
Oh, so many places we could go.
Well, created by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby, Kang the Conqueror is indubitably a classic Silver Age villain. He first appeared in 1963 in an issue of Fantastic Four, but he wasn't identified as Kang until an appearance in the Avengers a year later. His given name is Nathaniel Richards, and if that sounds familiar, it's because it is the same name as Reed Richards' father, who was also a time traveler. It just so happens that Kang is a direct descendant of the Richards from our era. He's also a descendant of Dr. Doom, which means at some point, Von Doom and Richards' DNA finally crossed. Kang used Dr. Doom's power suit as an inspiration for his own, and Kang's power suit is important because other than his giant-sized ego, Kang has no superpowers. He depends on his suit for strength, speed, flight, and shooting lasers from every orifice. Being a time traveler, we have lots of various incarnations of Kang. He was Pharaoh Rama Tut, Immortus, Iron Lad, and businessman Mr. Griffin. There was even a larval Earth version who plagued Spider-Ham called Kangaroo the Conqueror. He was like Kang the Conqueror, only he was a kangaroo, a smelly animal with a pocket. And speaking of smelly animals with pockets, Adam, do you have a list?
Oh, I always keep a small child in my pocket just for emergencies, just in case. You never know. Well, that wasn't enough. Let me sell everybody on this third and perhaps final movie in the Ant-Man series because this sucker has everything. We're back for a third Ant-Man movie, and it's all here. We got the whole cast back, including a new Cassie. Peyton Reed is directing at the helm, and, we're ready to go. We know what we're doing here, right? So we got shrinking down to ant size, growing up to giant size, shrinking and shrinking and shrinking down to levels unknown to man, only to find, well, more man. Really? Okay. But don't worry. We've got a proper intro for Kang the Conqueror, plus a bonus villain that has to be seen to be believed. And I mean, I've seen it and I still don't believe it, all right? So we've got tons of Ant-Men, wild and crazy visuals, horrible haircuts galore, more green screen than you can shake a stick at. And in the first Ant-Man movie, if you remember, we got the Cure's disintegration in a big fight scene. We got Ant-Man and the Wasp. In the Ant-Man and the Wasp, we get Morrissey. So you know Peyton Reed's going to kick us with another killer blast from the past. Only one problem. There's only one. Count 'em, one song on this soundtrack, and it's the theme to Welcome Back, Kotter.
But great song.
Fair enough. No T.I. this time, criminal. But for a crime for which this film will never recover, no Luis recapper. In fact, no Luis at all. This movie has everything except for a cast that wants to be there.
Except for Luis.
And Luis. Here's my biggest thing. And I say that last thing, except a cast who wants to be there. And ultimately, okay, let's start out here. I'm gonna back up a little bit. I want to back up. Because Ant-Man, for the longest time, I think you and I and Sean, like, we grew up knowing like who the Avengers were, right?
Yeah.
So we know who these people are. So when like Captain America and Iron Man were getting their films, everyone's thought was these are C-list characters, right? You and I, like people like us, nerds that listen to this show, know that those were never C-list characters to begin with, all right? We knew that those are A-list characters. You just don't know them. That doesn't mean that they're B-list or anything else like that. But, you know, Ant-Man doesn't really did fall into more of a B-list kind of tier as far as superheroes goes, right?
Especially the non-Hank Pym. I think you could argue Hank Pym has such historical significance. I could say he's an A-lister.
There's enough gravitas
Scott Lang, I wouldn't argue with B-list, and some people, if they wanted to suggest C-list, I wouldn't give him a fight.
Right. And I remember, the idea for this when the first Ant-Man came out, and it wasn't going to be Hank. And that was like, ooh, that's going to be a weird one. We're doing Scott instead. Feels like we should be doing Hank, and maybe eventually way down the road get a Scott or something like that. Yeah. But it worked out really well, and everybody loves Paul Rudd, and it was exciting. The fact that we got this Ant-Man movie, right? And I remember
at the time, I just want to say at the time of the first Ant-Man movie, I was 100% convinced they just kind of wanted to skip over the Hank Pym era just because Hank Pym was somewhat of a problematic character in the comics. But I think that enough people are like, no, it's cool. Do what you want with Hank Pym. That now it looks like a clever work of genius where there's this whole pocket era they could explore. Like in their Fantastic Four, they could set it during the era when Hank Pym was a young man. You know what I mean? Like now it's cool. I think it was almost accidental, but now it could be very valuable and rich if they explore it.
Yeah, they may have fallen into that one in good. They could say that they planned it that way all along, but it's like George Lucas. You go, but did you really though? But did you?
And I've still got hopes for Lawrence Fishburne coming back as Titan Man.
But please, absolutely. That's another one, a dangling participle from the second one. But I remember specifically being in just because this was certainly the time where I was going to the movies a whole bunch. I remember sitting in the movie for some theater waiting for it to start, and two kids came in. I want to say probably 11, 12, right in that neighborhood. And they were walking up, and as they were talking, coming into the movies and everything, they were talking about how excited they were for Ant-Man 2. And it blew me away that this former, B to C list character is now making, 12-year-olds go, bro, I can't wait for an Ant-Man movie. It made me so excited. And because we were doing the podcast and everything, because it was just I felt
not only B
wow.
or C list, but a power set that didn't lend itself to adaptation to the screen very easily.
Could be wildly corny and bad.
Or it could be, they could have been like a clever Honey, I Shrunk the Kids if they'd done it earlier.
Mm-hmm, exactly, and that would have been something interesting and neat. But and it was something that had just had been under development for so long. But we'd gotten this Ant-Man thing, and that leads us into Ant-Man 3, which given all of the things that we've had go on with the Avengers and Endgame and all of this stuff. And the fact that this is the first movie that starts off the new phase and everything. Now we are going to be getting into the quantum realm and all the possibilities that can lie out. And of course, we'll talk about it later about how this is being teased for later stuff. But it's all there. And so the potential for what we're going to get with this film felt so high. And I don't know about you. I may have watched maybe the first trailer once, maybe, but I didn't really remember any of it. Did you have any preconceived notions coming into this at all?
I just knew Kang was in it. It was such a no secret about it, no holding back, being open that Kang was in it.
Mm-hmm.
I was absolutely expecting Kang to not actually be in it. It started to feel a little bit like the Mandarin from Iron Man 3.
Yeah, you're not the first person that I've heard actually use that analogy.
But nope, they kept their word. They didn't try to lie to us again.
Yeah, well, or in a sense, kind of did they? They did, but they didn't. I mean, I suppose they've always kind of been doing that. We'll get to.
It wasn't as bad as J.J. Abrams when he just straight up said, "Oh, Khan is not in this movie."
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, well, it wasn't nearly that bad. And by the way, we always get new listeners and stuff when we get brand new films and stuff on. Spoilers for everything in this. So if you haven't seen Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantamania, you should probably tune out now because there'll be plenty of spoilers and stuff like that. Always got to say that for the new folks.
I'm going to tell you something here. Let's just jump into the nuts and bolts of this movie because I think there's a lot of fun stuff to talk about, and I think there's a lot of maybe a couple of disagreements between us to be had. So let's explore it. But the first thing I will say is I give this movie thumbs up and major credit for just getting to it. Man, this movie just starts.
Yeah, we don't languish around in a whole bunch.
I mean, Act one is really like 10 minutes or less. I mean, we see Scott, little joke about his book signing tour, a little joke about going back to Baskin Robbins, and they think he's Spider-Man, which has a great payoff at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
I know which one you are now. The other bug. You get big, you get small, $12.
No, I think it was $14, which is not like, whoa, geez, 14.
Your money's no good here, Spider-Man. Ant-Man, $14.
I was just like, ugh.
But they just get to it. I mean, boom. It first opens up with a flashback, which was a little bit puzzling to the more casual fan, my wife with me, because she was thinking this was set during the time that Scott was trapped in the quantum realm. And I explained, no, this isn't. This is after the blip and he goes back.
Yeah, there is a little bit, and maybe we could have even used a little bit more, to be quite honest. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. Before this, literally the day before, double featured the first two Ant-Man movies.
Oh, good move, man. I think that the first one you probably don't need to, but I think the second one's relevant because that's where the Pfeiffer character's introduced.
Right.
Who, by the way, continues to look amazing. Her gray hair looks perfect on her.
Oh, she's
beautiful lady.
No, she's really great in this, and we'll come back to it. But her and Michael Douglas are some of the few people I think in this movie that are actually really having fun.
Okay, because I was going to say, when you said people that don't want to be here, I feel like now his acting might not seem great to you. Like I'm not an acting critic. I don't know how to tell good from bad sometimes, but I just don't know how much. I don't know how much he has left in the tank. You know what I mean? Michael Douglas. I don't know what his best performance looks like.
I'll tell you this. With this movie, while Michael Douglas is not like acting super great, he is happy to be there. I can just tell by looking on his face that he is excited and happy to be working.
And his personal life's in a little bit of turmoil. I think it's just a nice thing to have. A big, huge budget tentpole movie, first one of the season. So I think he's glad
not
to be
really
back on
responsible
top of the
for it. It's a Paul Rudd vehicle, and so he's not even the main star of it and everything. So he gets to come in and have fun.
He gets to be the Obi-Wan. Which is cool. And I also started thinking, he has the little communicator in his ear that he talks to the ants with. And I thought that's probably just his regular hearing aid. And they're like, we'll just write it into the show.
Put it in there. That way we don't have to talk about it or CGI it out later.
Great.
But they did but they did that in the other films too. So he's always
I've never really been what I would call a Michael Douglas fan. I've probably just never thought about him that much. Probably always knew him more because of his more famous father, in my opinion. But I got no problem with him here. He seems like a guy who's like, man, I'm just glad I'm still alive and doing some fun stuff in my old age that my grandkids are. I don't know, man. You know what I mean? It just looks like I think he's happy to be there. We're agreeing on that part.
Oh, for sure.
And Michelle Pfeiffer does a great job. I think she's such a professional that honestly, you'll never know if she's happy or not because she shows up and she takes it seriously.
So then now let's compare those two actors to our two main actors, Paul Rudd and Evangeline Lilly, because that's to me that's the difference.
Evangeline Lilly, I have always felt was wooden on her best day, and boy, I bring bias against a person I've never met. I've never read any bad interviews. I've never read any stories of terrible things she's done. I just look at her and think, man, she's a bad time.
She's probably mean, right?
Yeah,
I don't know why she feels like she might be a little mean.
And
maybe she's sweet. I don't know.
And I don't know how much her performance reflected the script or how much the script reflected her performance. But man, I know the title is Ant-Man and Wasp, but it's real easy to forget Wasp is in this movie. So I don't know if they were like, okay, she doesn't want to be here, we're going to cut her roll back, or if they cut her roll back and that's why she didn't want to be here. Chicken or egg this thing.
Yeah. I think it was like a lack of enthusiasm for being there. And really the face that I see it on the most in this movie is Paul Rudd. And
you think he's finally getting tired? I mean, the guy's worked real hard for real long and he got his fame later in life.
Mm-hmm.
And for the first time, I feel like I'm starting to see his age a tiny bit, like all the clever memes about him being ageless, but I really felt like I'm starting to see the thing that we talked about with Kevin Bacon, where he's starting to try to continue his idea of the one way to continue looking younger is to just get thinner.
Oh, yeah.
Because I'm starting to see he's just a little almost gaunt now.
Mm-hmm. That's how they
And-
do
and
it, because as long as you're not fat, then it's like that doesn't mean that like you're
and
old.
I'm not saying that he looks bad by any means. I'm just starting to see a change in his appearance. He no longer looks like the same guy sitting playing video games in the 40-year-old virgin or the guy from Friends.
But because I watched two different movies here, and I'll tell you what I mean by that. I believe that I've discovered, at least for this, that Paul Rudd, and eventually in Lily too, but specifically very much Paul Rudd in this, does not like acting on green screen. I don't think he does.
I
because
didn't even think about that could be the component. It could be a Phantom Menace problem and not an actor just being exhausted problem.
It's 100%, because let me tell you how I knew that, how I put that together. You see the opening part of the movies, like you said, he's walking around, he's doing the little recap. Hey, I'm Ant-Man. The bagel guy's going, Spider-Man. All that kind of good jazz. He's in the real world when he's doing all of that stuff. He is on location. Paul Rudd looks happy to be there. He looks super excited. We go to the quantum realm, and this man has no expression on his face. It is lost and gone. But at the end of the movie, when he's back out in the real world, guess who's got a big smile on his face? Old Paul Rudd. I'm telling you, the man don't like acting on green screen.
You may have picked up on something. I definitely don't have anything to refute that. I will say, once we get in the quantum realm, what made me love this movie, showing my hand a little bit early, is just the visual trip that you go on in the quantum realm. And once I'm being distracted by all those visuals, I'm not paying attention to the quality of or lack thereof of his acting. I really do get pulled in by the lights and colors and shapes. And I watched this in 3D, which we probably should have addressed at the top of the show, how you watched it, what format. Yeah. I watched it in 3D, and I think it was a good choice, man. I really do.
Yeah, I did. I watched it in 3D as well, and I think for a movie that is like this, especially when we're going into quantum type stuff with all the crazy wild visuals and everything, I think you need, or at least maybe not need, it accentuates what's already there.
I definitely say if it's not going to put a financial strain on you, go for the 3D. Really, like I'm not going to say you have to see it in 3D, but unless you got a reason not to, see it in 3D.
Yeah. Now, the only thing that it kind of does a little bit sometimes with that, the problem that I found with at least some of the 3D, and part of me that wanted to go see it in 2D, but I was not impressed enough by the movie to go see it again today. But sometimes with that 3D and everything, the fact that they are really just sitting on a sound stage with green screen and everything sticks out so horribly bad that it's just like, oh, okay. And then when you start noticing that the background looks like it's, is that complete it's just a screen back there. We know that, and you filled it in with something else. Then you start looking at the actor's face, and it's like, oh, you're not even in this moment. Now, that being said, let me back this up. Jonathan Majors, however, in those same scenes, is actually acting. I think this guy knows that he has a future with Marvel, and also realizes like he's kind of a hot ticket right now.
So what's it like for a Marvel movie to actually have a villain with some menace? I feel like we haven't had that in a while.
Yeah, at least he had something going on for him. And again, I felt at least he's, giving us something in this performance. It's just sad that there was no reciprocity coming from Ant-Man, the lead title character.
If it's okay with you, I'd like to talk about Cassie for a minute, and then let's come back and have a little longer talk about Jonathan Majors.
Okay.
But they recast Cassie, went with an older actor because the original Cassie's like 14. This person's in their 20s.
Mm-hmm.
And, I guess with the 5-year time jump, they do need to age it up. Plus, I feel like they're really banking on, or at least keeping the option open for a future in the Marvel Cinematic Universe for the next generation of heroes. Cassie, of course, would be one of those.
Oh, for sure.
So I think they definitely wanted to put somebody who's a little bit older that we know that how they look is not going to change that much in the next 6 years versus between 14 and 20, man.
You can change
it's like
a
playing
lot.
roulette. You could win or you could lose.
No doubt.
And probably the older person's probably a little bit stronger actor. I mean, the person you cast as a 10-year-old daughter, you're asking for a separate set of skills than you would from someone you're playing as the I don't know how old are we supposed to say she is here?
I got the impression that she's 20 or under.
Yeah, I get the idea she's like college age because she was protesting. You don't usually do that in high school.
Just kind of late 20s or late teens, early 20s.
And I am not familiar with this actor. I've read some of the other things that she had been in, which were things I hadn't really checked out, but I like her. I think she's going to be a good little Cassie.
Okay. I did not I had seen her previously before in Freaky with Vince Vaughn. Okay.
Was she in that? Because I really like that movie.
Yeah. So she's the lead in that movie with Vince Vaughn.
I liked her in that movie. I didn't realize that was her.
And I like that movie a whole bunch, and for people that haven't seen it, it's a really great idea. Think Freaky Friday, but instead of trading places with a parent, we're trading places with a serial killer. So a young girl trades places with a serial killer, and so a serial killer is in this cheerleader body, and the serial killer. It's great. It's a whole heck of a lot of fun. But at the same, I need to watch it again because at this time I was going, did I like that movie because of Vince Vaughn? Because I might have. Because I was excited for her to be in this role because I really did like her in that film. And I think she may be another actor who does not care for the green screen acting because she is so wooden in this film that it made me mad because it felt like I know this person's capable of better than what I'm seeing on screen. And like she did not, and like I hate saying this because we're like comparing her to like, an 8-year-old actor from the first movie, but like you hardly have anything in common with that actor at all. Like, as far as like, I know no one wants to say, look at this 9-year-old, start acting like this 9-year-old, but a grown-up version of it. No one wants to hear that. I know that that's not what you want to hear. But it didn't feel like the Cassie character at all, who had been built up within 2 films by a sweet little actor who's, maybe she's not right for the future role. I'm not necessarily advocating for that actor to get that role. I'm saying that the character that we're seeing in this movie does not feel like the character from the first 2 movies. If that makes sense. And
yeah,
I know in 10 years we grow or whatever.
Yeah,
but
I can almost write that off on just the age difference. That didn't bother me. I didn't find her to be particularly wooden. I did not get a chance to watch this movie more than once. So, I was so caught up with a lot of the visual effects, like I said before when we were talking about Paul Rudd, that I probably didn't pay that much attention to her performance in the green screen land. But I thought she was good. She's got kind of Jennifer Connelly's daughter, who was in the Death Note American version.
Oh, yeah.
Like I like her a lot. She's done some stuff for Netflix and had some good performances. And this younger person here kind of has that same vibe to her, the one that's playing Cassie. And reminds me a lot of like, when I was 17 years old, I went to this science program one summer where you went to a college campus and got to stay in the dorms and stuff. And like all the girls in the science program looked exactly like Cassie here. The same ponytail t-shirt, flannel around your waist, everything. It's 1991. What do you expect?
It's what we did back then, and it was fine. Shut up.
But, she just seemed real. Something about it just, it clicked with my real world experience, and I like the character.
Yeah, I just, nothing, okay. Like, we come back, and she's super smart now. But, like, did we ever get any kind of vibe that, like, or why that she would go into any, like, I don't know. It just, nothing seemed motivated. It just seems like the character showed up and had all of the necessary plot abilities to, further things along.
Well, part of that is because they didn't waste time, man. I kind of applauded them for just getting with it. And it's like, here she is. She's smart. She made this thing. It's pulling us to another dimension. Don't ask any questions. Let's just move. That's one of the things I loved about Back to the Future. That movie just gets started.
Yeah, but at least there's enough, like, that movie, all 3 of those movies specifically, really are the most table-setting movies of all time, because what the Bobs did with that was basically go, like, they must have rewritten 8 billion times to just be like, all right, we're planting this seed here, and we're paying it off all the way back down here, back and forth and back and forth. So, like, I don't think anything was planned this well in this film, because this to me seemed like we got off and running, like you said, and it seemed like, oh, wow, we're going to really explore some interesting stuff here. And we get these great visuals. We're going into the quantum realm, and it's just like, like what we're being described as to what's going to happen is like beyond amazing. And like you've heard this even from the first film, is like you're just going and it's this empty nothingness, and then, like beyond, what explanation as to what's actually out there. And then we keep going down and down and down. And what do we finally discover? More humanity It's just basically humanized people having a human society within the quantum realm so far down and like not. I hate it. What a stupid idea all of that was. It's so dumb. I hated it so much. Why have a society be down there of anything? Like, make it cool, make it like weird, abstract nothingness and stuff. When at the end of Doctor Strange, when he's coming back to bargain and stuff, no one just goes, "Well, that's not a real person. I don't understand that." No, we made it some weird ass thing, and we all just figured it out.
You want all Dormammu's? Well, they do have some weird people.
There's a little bit of it, but it just feels like so cliche of like, oh, it's the smaller world inside of the thing. There's far beyond
the quantum realm. The quantum realm is clearly the cinematic universe's microverse, which the rights for the word microverse are kind of questionable. So these are supposed to be like their new versions of Micronauts. And, they can't use the established Micronauts, so they're bringing in some of these new characters, one of whom was voiced, I think, by David Dalmatian.
Yeah, of which when I saw his name in the credits, I was just like, what was he in?
Yeah,
Where was his character?
He's in it, but they didn't have his character in it. Like they recast him, just I guess. Like they're like, man, we're gonna get in trouble if he's not in this movie. Maybe they're contractually obligated for 3 pictures on him. Where's Louise? What happened there? Because he was such a fan favorite. This
is what kills me with this whole thing. And like, again, having watched those first 2 movies the night before I watched this one, that is one of the big differences between these movies is there is such a level of fun that is going on in those first 2 movies. And even in the second movie where like the stakes are a little bit higher, this girl's going to die and all this sort of stuff, but it's still a lot of fun. I found nothing fun about this. I mean, I'm not going to say that there aren't comedy moments. There aren't things that made me laugh and chuckle. There certainly were. But like the vibe of fun was completely out of this movie. I didn't feel like I was like, I felt visually stimulated and it was interesting. And I like kind of the broad idea of everything, but the execution for me just wasn't there. And a lot of that stemmed from not having fun. Like characters like Luis and the crew and everything were a lot of fun and flavor that was added to this. And those guys were in the real world. So obviously I understand that we can't take them to the quantum realm with us, though that might have been fun.
But you could still have them even in the real world, like sitting and talking about like, where's Scott? I don't know. I haven't seen Scott in a while.
How in God's name does this movie, in a world, right? In a world where you're just some cat, it's 2050. Movie stores are back. Blockbuster is back. You walk into a movie store in 2050 and you don't know from any of the Marvel movies that are out there, right? And so you're just like, hell, I saw Paul Rudd in Clueless, so I'm going to watch these Ant-Man films. So you get all 3 of the Ant-Man films. And I got to be honest with you, you pop the third having watched those first 2 Ant-Man films, you pop in that third Ant-Man film, you're not going to know what's going on. Because a whole lot of crap happened in between. And you know what would have been amazing is if Ant-Man 3 opened up with a Luis recap of everything that happened.
Yes.
Because guess what, my friends? A lot has friggin' happened. And it would have been hilarious. It would have brought the house down. People would have been jived and just excited from the beginning of the movie. You gave me that piece that I wanted. Everyone says they don't want the same crap all the time, but we're all liars. We love familiarity. We love the same garbage. Package it up differently and feed it to us again. We are gluttons for it. That's what we wanted. And we just flat out didn't get any of it. And it's just kind of like, why? Do you not even know who your audience is for this? That was like one of the most indelible moments of those 2 films was his, going on in that recreation of his story and everything. So much fun. And imagine the cameos that you could have in that. Imagine a sweet ass Robert Downey Jr. cameo in this movie. Just out of nowhere. Nice. How cool would that have been? But
did you hear anything about why Louise didn't come back? Like, is there a behind the scenes thing? Was there some kind of like somebody wanted more money? Somebody didn't want enough money? I don't know. What's going on?
I think it's just the writing. I just think that they were just like, listen, this, and I don't know the timeline.
But this is an industry, man. This is no longer just art. They've got people in charge of things and people that know these are the elements you got to have on your movie. Write any script you want, but we're going to make a movie with these elements. And one of those should be Louise for Ant-Man, like the Louise recap, no matter how hard, or if nothing else, there's your mid-credit scene. You know,
or
you get a Louise,
or it's just like
Louise recap of just what happened.
It seems so obvious, and it's just like even if he's not there all that long, it's not like it's going to take forever to shoot whatever his bit's going to be. You're spending 3/4 of the more than that of the movie in the quantum realm. So
he can do it in 2 days, I'm sure.
Yeah, okay, so let's talk about that for a second, because again, that's another reason why I ask: was this shot during COVID? I feel like there's a chance that it could, or maybe just close past it. You know what I'm saying? And I say that because there are so many one shots in this film. It drove me insane. And so what I mean by that is when you watch down in the quantum realm specifically, because we're dealing with so much green screen work at this point, most of the characters are not on the screen together at the same time. And even most of the conversational shots, and even the conversational shots that you do see over the shoulder, more than likely that's a double that's standing in for someone else.
Yeah.
I am telling you, the majority of this cast spent maybe 2 weeks together, and that's about it. And then everybody, like, I'll watch all of Michael Douglas's stuff. God bless Michael Douglas, because he's giving it his all, and he ain't acting against anybody. I'm telling you that right now. He did the majority of his stuff with just somebody else standing in the proper eye line and him doing his lines back to the camera. That's what felt like so much of this movie was. Because here's the thing. We've got these conversations about the multiverse and all this bullcrap. But you got to make that interesting. And I'm sorry, at least from a visual standpoint, these characters just having single one medium close-up shots of their heads bouncing back and forth between all of them is just some really lazy filmmaking that kind of just, it makes me angry as a moviegoer who knows how much money was spent on this thing to have like just this, I'm sorry, I think it's objectively very lazy filmmaking. Just, I know that you need to do this, and people have schedules that you got to bust them in and bust them out, and do things in that X amount of time and everything. But either plan it right or just forego it, because
you think this is
the
last
jumbling together of all this, it doesn't work.
Do you think this is the last solo Ant-Man movie?
I think so. I really do. I think that
we're
totally
getting
there.
to the end of eras now. Yeah,
he doesn't like I said, when I think one of the reasons that Paul Rudd doesn't look like he's having fun on any of this stuff is because when he's doing most of it, there's nobody else against him. He's not acting with anybody. And I got to tell you, the majority of actors out there, they need other actors.
And to quote Sheryl Crow, Evangeline Lilly looks like she never had a day of fun in her whole life.
I don't like. I like her. There's something about her that I like, but like it's just not hitting. It's just not hitting, and I don't know what it is. I hate her. Every choice she's ever done with her hair post Lost has all been just. What are we doing? You're beautiful. Stop it.
I've never had any problem with her hair, but this one seemed like an odd choice.
Oh, dude.
It was not a choice I would have made in her situation, I guess. There's something about it.
Look up the hair she's got with this new, what I just call Doctor Who hair. Just look up Evangeline Lilly, Doctor Who. I would almost guarantee you that it's come up, because
I prefer the Doctor Who hair, I think. Was she going for a 20s vibe? Anyway, it doesn't matter.
It's halfway between Doctor Who and The Hobbit, but it might be. You don't know that. Hey, we're one of the few nerd shows where all of our hosts still have all of their hair. So I think that's a pretty good. I think that's not bad.
Did you have any idea that Bill Murray was in this movie?
I did, only from again, I think I saw the trailer once, and then Bill Murray pops in for like half a second. I feel like I'd maybe read a headline or two about it in, the passings on and all that kind of stuff. And frankly,
totally caught me off guard. I had no idea that Bill Murray was in this. So it was a real nice little treat when he shows up.
But was it, though? That's literally what I was about to ask. But was it a nice treat? What happened? It was
a nice treat in that I got to look over at my wife and go, "Oh, look, it's Bill Murray."
Yeah, a man that I know.
He did not get to do anything great in this movie. No great performance, but now it's at the point where he just kind of has to show up and move on. Like that is the whole performance now.
It's so. I just got like literally the whole scene is, oh my God, we got Bill Murray to show up. It is like that's the whole. You could take it out. I think you could take out that entire scene and you lose nothing from this film. Listen, and I like Bill Murray, but Bill Murray has no reason being in this. And like I can't imagine he liked being in this. I think the paycheck had to be pretty decent or whatever, and maybe he just happened to be traveling through Atlanta playing golf that weekend or some crap. I don't know.
You may not know this. He provided his own wardrobe. That's just what he was wearing.
He just comes in and be like, "Look at what I'm wearing today."
I look
Again,
like a Continental soldier.
He doesn't seem like he gives a crap that he's there. He's doing the lines, but he's not acting. No one's acting in this thing, save for like I said. So let's go back to him. Jonathan Majors is actually acting in this. And
okay,
I like him.
I'm glad we came back to this because I want to talk about this. First off, he brings menace. And I mean, one thing that we've said going all the way back to the first Iron Man with Obadiah Stane as the big bad is that they have kind of a villain problem. And then Hiddleston gave us a great performance as Loki, but the problem is it was just a little too charismatic, so they stole him from the villain lineup in a way.
Yeah, because they're like, we literally cannot have this man as much as like it would make sense for the character and everything. You can't have him be like a homicidal, genocidal maniac or something at this point. The audience likes him too much. You can't.
Sam Rockwell, a great actor, but I thought that Hammer was not a great villain.
They didn't write him well, though.
Yeah, they have had a villain problem, and man, Majors. I think that Michael B. Jordan was great as Killmonger, but it was a very different kind of villain. Like it was a little too sympathetic and a little too simple. His focus on one country versus what we're dealing with now with Kang. But it made me think as we're watching this, like, oh my goodness, they have written this perfect. This performance is perfect. Why couldn't they have made him Dr. Doom? Because Jonathan Majors is the Dr. Doom I never knew I wanted until I was watching this movie.
You know what's funny is that like I didn't really know that fact before you read it there in the Comic Connection and everything. I'm looking at this suit going, is this a Dr. Doom suit or what? Because like it looks exactly like Dr. Doom's outfit.
Yes. Yeah, it's just the only difference is the headgear.
Yeah, the headgear is a little bit different and everything, but I'm just like, well, yeah, this kind of does look like Dr. Doom, doesn't it? And I'm like, I mean, between the performance and just the story and the gravitas, and I'm sitting here thinking like we finally have like in my mind, I've got some preconceived notions about what Kang the Conqueror should be like. And when I'm seeing this version of Kang, I'm getting so much more Dr. Doom from him than I am, Kang. And it just kills me that they didn't make this guy their Dr. Doom. But because of the nature of Kang and his multiple timelines and multiple personas that he's had over the years, it's going to be perfect because they can make him the villain in so many movies if they want to. Like they could have the Pharaoh version that we saw in the Council of Kangs, the Council of Ricks there at the end. Mm-hmm. Like he is a Fantastic Four villain when Fantastic Four time travels back to Egypt, and he's also got a connection to Apocalypse, so they could almost make Kang use the name Apocalypse and fill the Apocalypse role if they ever want to revisit that character. And in fact, one of the Council of Kangs had kind of the glowing things in his suit and stuff that made me think he had a bit of an Apocalypse look to him. Yeah, I could see that.
And given the story that Kang is a direct descendant from the combination of Reed Richards and Dr. Doom, they could just say, oh, this is Victor Von Doom. He looks like Kang because it's his great grandfather.
Here's the thing, though. Okay, all right. Let's deconstruct that more on the Dinger Zone zone because
I think that's a great idea.
We got a lot of stuff to talk about between that. And
I
got so much.
We're starting to run long. We're going to run long if we lose too much.
I'm a Fantastic Four head, so we're going to talk. We'll talk about some Fantastic Four and other things. Dinger Zone.
What about MODOK? Now I remember.
Okay, God, I can't believe we've gone this long and we haven't even talked about it.
Oh, come on, man! Especially me.
I don't know how we've gone this long. 45 minutes and we haven't talked about MODOK. I wanted to save it
because it's going to be good when we get to it, And it's one of those things where, like, I think I heard once that MODOK was going to be in this, and then I just totally let it go out of my mind.
Same.
So when he did show up, I kind of like, oh yeah, MODOK is supposed to be in this, and then they show him with the golden mask, and I'm like, I don't know, man. It's kind of a lame MODOK. They really blew their shot at MODOK. And then the mask comes off, and I'm like, oh my God, I take back everything I just said. This is, I wish, my son, 12 years old, he doesn't know how good he's got it. Because you don't know how full my life would have been if 12-year-old me had seen this version of MODOK in a movie, because this is perfect. They did it perfect with the actual human face just being large and a little distorted. They did this perfectly. And the biggest twist that I never saw Corey Stoll being MODOK. Like, that is a twist that at first I wasn't sure if I liked it or not, but it was just so much fun. I'm all for retconning MODOK to now be Yellow Jacket.
Okay, like, I loved it and I hated it, but like it was.
Yeah, I loved it and I hated it. That's how most things I love affect people.
Yeah. I overall, because I'm trying to, I can justify their thoughts. I kind of like the idea that he gets down and we sent him in and he was going crazy and all that stuff and eventually becomes MODOK. I kind of like that. That is kind of a neat, interesting idea. Though Corey Stoll, not necessarily the guy I would have ever would have attached to that character. But the idea and stuff there is kind of fun.
It's so easy to hate Corey Stoll, and then it's so much fun to see him forced into this ridiculous existence as MODOK.
Okay, so
I had so much fun.
Let's get into a little bit more granular. So that's what I'm telling you, that like the idea of all of this, like a lot of this movie, the idea of all of this, I am okay with. The execution is what I am absurdly mad at. Mostly because that's the face on the CGI was absolute garbage.
I think that added to the fun to
garbage
me a little bit.
But
it almost felt like a skit from Comedy Central, and I kind of like that.
I wish they would have made it look decent, because here's the part. Okay, when he is dying at the end, they gave a crap about the CGI. You could tell it looked a lot better. When he was dying, I'm just like, why didn't it look this way the whole time? What's wrong with you people?
You know how cosplayers do MODOK?
Mm-hmm.
Where they just put like the helmet on with little arms and legs and use a sheet to cover your body. I think they should have just cosplayed it. I think they should have gone practical effects, like Head of the Family. You call in Full Moon to come help you with this one, Peyton Reed. And you're like, how did you do those effects on Head of the Family? Because we need that for Corey Stoll.
I mean, okay. And again, as much as I like the Corey Stoll bit and everything, and like the fact that we brought that back into play, let me just throw it out there. Because we've seen it, because it's in, we'll call it canon. I'm going to call it canon because it came out when all the bullcrap was all together. We seen Patton Oswalt as MODOK. If Patton Oswalt's face showed up as angry MODOK, that maybe. And another problem is that, like, I'm not saying we got to go full, L'Oreal mascara on everybody and make you look, but you got to give me a little something. Give me a little something. What's wrong? Why can't Corey Stoll have anything like some eyebrows, something? For God's sake, give me something. I'm just
He's like a piece of white bread with a mouth.
It looks like I swear to God, it looks like the crap I drew when I was in third grade. Real crap. Just kind of like.
Looks, for a human, he looks a lot like Annoying Orange. Are you familiar with that character, Annoying Orange?
Yeah, the proportions are all off and strange, but like not in like a good strange way. Just in like, it looks like GoldenEye is what it looks like. It looks like they took a picture of Corey Stoll and wrapped it around a 3D model,
big head mode.
And they said, we're going to fix this later. And then all of a sudden, the date came up and they were like, oh, crap, we got to deliver this now? Oh, well, I tell you what, people won't know. They're stupid. People are dumb. They don't care. But guess what? We do care. It looked like crap, and it made me mad.
I think there's still a way where we could have two MODOKs in the MCU.
But it could have been like, and there was some of it in there, and I liked it. But gosh, I wish there was a lot more fun and funny stuff, especially because MODOK is a character that you love getting crapped on, And we didn't have enough of that.
Can we go ahead and talk about this ending? I think we've been going at this a while, and there's a few more things we'll want to talk about in the Dinger Zone. But I want to talk about this ending because, man, I'm going to call this the weakest part of the movie, the ending. And I'm also going to call it almost like a Stephen King ending, where it's like, okay, I don't know what to do, so I'm just going to stop telling the story. It really felt to me this felt so much like it had just stopped. I was expecting a reveal at the end that he was still trapped inside the Matrix or something. I was like expecting there to be some kind of glitch where he looked and saw, oh wait, I'm not really back in the real world after all. Because it was just so weird how it just kind of ended, so convenient how it just kind of ended. Surprised that somebody didn't get stuck in the quantum realm at the end. Also kind of surprised we didn't have a teaser at the end that showed us miraculously MODOK not only survived, but managed to escape the quantum realm. And now he's hiding in the real world, getting a job at Baskin Robbins.
Yeah, there's something fun that could happen, but like it just, and here's the thing, this thing was written by a guy who, like, when you look at his resume, it's like, did they really just give you this movie on account of you wrote 6 episodes of Rick and Morty? Because that's really all he's done.
You're talking about the person who wrote the script?
Yeah. He wrote for The Onion for a little bit, and like he's written for like Emmys and Oscars and stuff.
Had nothing to do with the previous incarnations of Ant-Man?
No.
Oh, wow.
None. So like, yeah. So
maybe that is part of the issue here.
Before this, it was 6 episodes of Rick and Morty, and then he was a story editor on Miracle Workers, whatever the hell that is.
Well, I mean, Marvel likes to discover talent rather than, utilize
one that's actually has a proven track record of making things that are actually funny.
It's not always a winner. I mean, when you want somebody to do something in house style and you got strong oversight like Feige, then yeah, I understand. But I feel like, I don't know if the oversight's slipping or the world's getting too big, but I think everybody feels like Marvel's lost a step, right? I mean, I'm not saying anything shocking, am I?
No, I don't think so. And we'll talk more specifically about that in the Dinger Zone, because I think it's worth mentioning, and because they said we're doing some things that are going to be a little bit different now. I think that even their best laid plans might have changed a bit.
So do you remember the mid-credit scene?
Vaguely. Which one was that? I know there was a Loki teaser. Essentially, that was like the end one, wasn't it?
That was the very, very end one.
Right.
So in the mid-credit scene is when we have all the Council of Kings talking about the death of the one that they put into seclusion or whatever. So
the undermining of the entire movie is what we call this point. It's literally just saying the entire 2 hours that you just spent ain't worth crap all.
I mean, this whole thing, I was telling my wife afterwards, it just felt like it was a prologue to get us ready for what's coming next, which is Kang is the villain in every movie.
They got to stop that. That needs to stop. That's a stupid way of looking at things. And guess what? It's becoming very apparent to us that that's exactly what's going on. Cut it out.
They're treating this like a TV show that you got to pay. You got to pay $15 to watch three to 4 episodes at a time.
We've mentioned it before, but like I get it kind of bears repeating from time to time. Is that the old Stan Lee adage could and should apply to these superhero films
every movie is
much as they
first
do.
Movie.
Yeah, treat it as such.
But that's kind of where that would be my biggest criticism, though, is the ending seems weak. It didn't even feel like an ending. It didn't necessarily feel like we got as much of a complete story as I wanted. I didn't feel a torch being passed, which is something I would have liked. I didn't see somebody being trapped in the quantum realm to make us know, well, we got a reason to come back to these folks.
I don't think they know what they want to do with this. I don't think they have clue one as to what the next step with Ant-Man is, if any.
I think it would have been a really, really good move for Wasp to be trapped in the quantum realm. Because Evangeline Lilly doesn't want to do Avengers movies. She doesn't want to show up in other people's movies. So just have her locked away in the quantum realm. And if we ever do come back to Ant-Man, then that gives us a reason to be coming back to it. You got to go get Wasp out of there.
Oh, you're going to think this is funny because you mentioned her acting and stuff like that over the years. She literally just mentioned in an interview recently about how much better of an actor she is now than what she used to be. So she goes, I look back at the stuff in Lost and I'm like, all cringy and stuff. And we all just kind of want to go, it's not that much different now than it was. I'm not fan. Like I said, I like her. I think she's good. Yeah. I just don't know that, like, I don't know what it is. There's something's just not hitting right. Maybe she just hadn't found the right project. For whatever reason, I cheer for her. I don't know why. Maybe it's because I like Lost so much.
She's the kind of person that would sigh when you spoke to her.
Yeah, here comes Bruce again.
Excuse me, Miss Lily. And she'll go, what? That's just how I picture it going down. For no reason, by the way. Let me go on the record. That is 100% me creating an imaginary scenario in my head.
No, but I think you're right. I think you're right because I see like her wacky hair and like fashion choices and stuff like that make me just kind of go like, oh, you're a pistol.
Yeah, like I could imagine Jennifer Garner. I say, "Hello, Mrs. Garner. I'm a big fan." She go, "Oh, that's so sweet." But Evangeline Lilly, it's like, I'm busy right now. I don't do photos. I can't. I don't have time to sign.
Why are you coming up to me in this Kroger? You so and so, get out of here. Well, Bruce, he might not be here, but let me tell you something. I don't know what you know, but I know that this film is connected 1-to-1 with Sylvester Stallone, and while he might not be here, I have your Stallone connection. You ready for this bad boy? It's a good one.
Ready.
This one's as written by one Sweet Chauncey. I don't want to take credit for this, so or blame, depending upon, because who knows what this guy writes. Here we go. Randall Park is in Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantamania, reprising his role as Special Agent Jimmy Woo. And here's my question about Randall Park. I know Randall Park is funny. He's got good timing, great delivery, and an everyman quality that makes you instantly like him. So why does he keep getting the worst gigs in Hollywood? Why is he in Blockbuster, the world's unfunniest sitcom? Why is he in Young Rock, a show that should never be watched by anyone ever? Randall Park has been acting since 2003 when he was on a show called Fastlane, which sounds like a show where producers said, "The Fast and the Furious is popular. Why don't we make an even dumber version of that?" He has 166 credits to his acting resume, and he's been around for so long that he did a guest spot on the TV show Alias, a show that hasn't been on the air in 20 years. So why can't Randall Park get a sweet job on a show that isn't awful? Why does he have to be on shows like Mad TV where he has to play Bobby Lee's cousin? Why is he on Gary Unmarried? Oh, what's that, Mr. Stallone? You say you've never heard of it? Well, it's a Jay Moore vehicle where Jay Moore plays an unlikable divorced guy. I know. How the hell did Jay Moore pull that off? And Randall Park had to take that job because he has terrible people representing him. Just like in 2003 when Randall Park had to take the acting role of Jasper on the show Las Vegas, which also guest starred you, Sylvester Stallone. When is Randall Park going to get his own show that isn't a warehouse fire that specializes in the making of dumpster fires? I'm asking you specifically, Mr. Stallone. Hopefully you can answer that question when we speak in person, maybe? Anyway,
Tulsa King season 3.
Anyway, that's the Stallone connection for this week. Comedic actor Randall Park. Hope to hear from you soon. Your pal, 3 children wearing a trench coat stacked up on top of each other, trying to sneak into an R-rated movie. I think that's all 3 of us.
You really outdid yourself that time, Adam. That was great.
I will say this, though. I would like to see that, especially with the 3 of us, because like Sean and I are both like 6'3". Then we add you on top of that. I want to see this like 13-foot person walking into a thing going, 1 for Die Hard 2, please.
I would like 1 rated R ticket.
Sir, your stomach just sneezed.
I think it was Eric Andre who like tried to pull that off and go buy a car. and like as soon as Eric Andre and whoever's shoulders he was on walked into the car dealership, this old timer who's working there, this old black fella's like, no, I don't do no business with nobody like that. Get out of here.
With nobody like that. I don't know what it is, but I ain't having nothing to do with it.
Don't do no business with nobody like that. Kind of like your story, your friend in the ski mask.
Exactly. Oh, that's a good one. Dinger zone for all this. All right, so we got to get down to it. Bruce, where does Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania fall on the Robin rating system for you?
I really liked it because I like Jonathan Majors. I like that we're getting into a new motion. I feel like we've been kind of just treading water a little too much after Endgame, and now I feel like something's finally happened. It's going to have good implications, I think, for both television and movies. I'm giving it a Tim Drake, and I know that not everybody's going to agree with that, but I'm giving it a Tim Drake for the visual experience and the new chapter in the story. Though it's an incomplete story, it's still a fun experience.
Yeah, I had a thought while I was going in because my schedule kind of got messed around a little bit. So I thought for sure the only time I was going to be able to watch this was Thursday night. Because work was just going to kind of get me out. And I didn't want to be out till midnight or whatever by the time I get home. But things worked out where I could have seen this again earlier or a second time. And my thoughts initially going into that first one was, hey, if somehow I can get it, maybe I'll see this like early Sunday before the show or whatever, so I'll have a second viewing under my belt, maybe even in another format or something like that. And I didn't want to. Because this movie overall kind of made me mad. It made me feel like this felt like they didn't really try all that hard. It felt like a lot of people created a lot of really cool looking CGI backgrounds and stuff, but we wrote a half-hearted story that doesn't really go anywhere, doesn't really further the narrative, doesn't bring me anything more to who Scott Lang is, who any of these characters are. We're literally at this is. Ooh, God, I can't believe this is the Martez sisters of because we didn't do anything.
Harsh criticism.
I say that only because we didn't do anything. We didn't really do anything. We kind of did. We went and we learned about another Kang, but I got news for you, pal. We learned about Kang in Loki. We're good. We're aware that there's Kang. We're aware that there's a lot of Kangs. Okay, what else? And so, we knock off one, and we still learn yet again. Okay, we have a whole bunch more. Okay, what did we learn in this? What did we do? Did we do anything? I feel like I thank Christ it's not over 2 hours. I applaud Marvel for at least giving us something that's just 2 hours, not 2.5 hours. I don't know what we would have done for another half hour. Now, if that another half hour had actual story stuff in it and things that were funny and entertaining, perhaps I might change my tune. But I was at least glad that this was only 2 hours.
So I'm hearing not Dick Grayson.
No, I'm gonna put this as Stephanie Brown. I don't hate it, but
wow.
I wish I liked it a lot more than I do. I feel like they squandered away what I think was a lot of good intention from people. Like I said, I saw 12-year-olds banging for Ant-Man 2, and there ain't a 12-year-old in the world who gives two flying craps about this movie. I can tell you that because there ain't nothing in there for them.
Okay, so here's the question: this movie or Eternals?
Oh, Eternals is worse than this. At least this has some humor.
So we can still at least agree on what probably the worst Marvel. MCU movie
okay. Listen, I'll watch this 3 times to 1 Eternals.
Oh, definitely. For me, I mean, I actually like this one.
Yeah. So, as much as I don't like it, I'll watch it 3 times before I'll watch the Eternals. That's for sure. Because I got no want for that. But it ultimately. I think I probably bust it down one more grade, really on account of it just feels like not everybody brought their A game to everything. And I get it. I can't sit there and say man, I don't care if you are acting against nothing. You should be enthused all the time. I know it's difficult. I couldn't imagine. And that they weren't walking around in a volume type thing because guess what? I think that you can tell a difference when actors walk around in that stuff because they're literally looking at stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say the actors can notice it too.
So, I felt like we needed some of that because, maybe they're looking around and, they can't imagine what they're looking at. And, Cassie's, no one has any feeling or any emotion, and it just feels like it's all wrapped up in the fact that they don't know where they're at, and they're just looking at ping pong balls on a wall. And it made me upset and angry, and I wish this film was a lot better than it was. So, and I went into this with such a great attitude.
Well,
I really wanted this to be grand, but it just did not do it.
We'll have to see if Marvel can redeem themselves in a couple of months with Guardians of the Galaxy Part 3. It's the next movie on the Marvel slate that I'm aware of, and it's another Part 3.
Yeah, I mean, it will
and perhaps another Swan. I mean, it's James Gunn's swan song with Marvel, I would assume.
Yeah, it sounds like that, and it sounds like he's even like, hey, well, I might even be taking some of my actors to come with me to do some of these DC things. So. It's probably the swan song for that one too. Maybe a 3 and out's how we do it. But then again, they're making another Spider-Man film, so who's to say?
Yeah, stay tuned to see Palm Clementif as Crazy Quilt.
Hey, listen, man, give him 20 minutes. We'll be talking more about kind of the future of Marvel and DC and a couple of those other things and where we think things like Ant-Man will bring us in the future with that stuff in the Dinger Zone. If you'd like to do that, head on over to patreon.com/HMP. Join up at any level. Whatever value that you've gotten out of this show, if this past hour and 5 minutes that you've been spending with us, you've really enjoyed, put that into a dollar form. We'll come back here next week, and that's how we just continue to do things. Whatever you find. And if you think that, we need to do better, maybe, Oh, I forgot to, I totally, give me half a second here because I feel disgusting that I did not bring it up properly on the show. Peter, our good buddy Peter actually jumped up to a $20
Whoa, Peter,
support.
thank you, sir.
So I felt like we needed to do that. Peter, and Peter and a couple of other folks, and from time to time, they go up, they go down, but like whatever is commensurate with what you can afford and what you think that this show is bringing to the family and everything, we appreciate that. And it's just, 8 years on, and you guys are still with us, and we really appreciate all of it. And you get to vote on what we do and tell us what to do, and we get to hear from you guys as well, which is another amazing thing. Patreon.com/HMP. We'll talk about what we're doing next week in a minute. Bruce, where can we find more of your work on the internet?
People can check out my YouTube channel, youtube.com/C/Bruce Leslie, doing reviews of each episode of Trigun Stampede with Chris from Canada, Matthew from Texas. I don't know. Have you checked out any of those by chance, Adam? Just kind of spot checked any of those?
Here and there, yeah. It's fun.
I do a whole lot of editing on those, so it's worth checking out if folks just want to see what it looks like when I do a little bit more editing than usual.
He's in that point, still the out point, and then the insert into the timeline. He's doing all of it.
Yeah, and then still got some reactions going up there every now and then to My Hero Academia. So go check it out and be on the lookout for The Mandalorian 30 Questions coming back soon, right?
Oh, rubbing my hands together, getting so excited for all of that stuff going down. Just to, so excited. All right. And then, catch whenever you walk by the streets and stuff and you look down at people's feet and you see a pair of Adidas, I want you to close your eyes and say, "Sweet Shanzi, sweet Shanzi, sweet Shanzi," 5 times. I'm not going to do it now. Say it 5 times. Turn around, and Sean will be right back there to give you, a Run DMC high five, and then he just disappears off into the woods. That's how it works.
No sleep until Brooklyn.
Try it out. Give it a shot. You never know what might happen. And so that is it, everybody. Join us next week again. Remember, for your patreon.com/HMP, you're voting on Unknown Origins, 2 Guns, Harley Quinn's Valentine's Day special, Velma and the Man from U.N.C.L.E. That is it, everybody. Join us again next week for that Patreon selection for the absent Sweet Chauncey from the internet. Bruce Leslie. I'm Adam Portress. Stay super, everybody.
Goodbye, Marty and Evie.
Lady, have you no